Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. Great to have you along today, 4:40 a.m. It is Friday, April the 11th with the big blue mug of coffee. I hope you're having a great day today. And I can tell you, I am having an awesome day today. Now, for those of you who watch my channel regularly, you haven't seen me over the last several days. And I just want to explain quickly why I haven't been here. Last Saturday, I was invited out to a children's birthday party with a lot of great people, really great food, and great stomach flu. I'm telling you. Just to put it in perspective, when it hit me on Sunday night, from that time until Thursday morning, I lost almost 10 pounds. And I was running pretty lean. So if I'm looking pretty thin right now, that's because of the flu. Now, I've been trying to follow politics, but I can tell you for about 3 days, it really didn't mean a lot to me. But over the last 24 to 36 hours, there's a story you've probably been following, and you've seen hyperbolic headlines like the election's over and whatnot by some of the people who are doing great work, and I've mentioned here on this channel before. But I think they're missing a big point here, a big one. They're all missing this point. I think they're all thinking the same. George Patton, General George Patton said, if everyone's thinking alike, somebody isn't thinking. I went to bed thinking the same and I woke up thinking differently. So I'm going to ask you a question at the end of this video. Not going to answer it. You can answer it yourself and you're going to get my point on this. So this is about Mark Carney's ties with, and pardon me if I'm reading this off the screen, the Jiangsu International Chamber of Commerce of Canada, the JCCC, which has ties to China's United Front Work Department. sounds rather communist, doesn't it? Which oversees Beijing's influence, propaganda, and intelligence operations inside and outside of China. Now, the Globe and Mail wrote a story about him a couple of days ago on this, and you probably know this whole story, talking about Carney's connection to this group. And he got confronted by a Globe and Mail reporter and asked about this. Now, I'm going to cut out the question, but they ask about his connection to this. And here's what Carney had to say, and this is what has caused all of the hubbub on YouTube over the last day and a half.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but you can't believe everything you read in the Globe and Mail. So in your question, and I guess in the article in question, you said I had a meeting with whatever your term was, Beijing group. I've never heard of this group, okay? Never heard of this group. Certainly didn't have a set-up meeting with this group. Full stop. So check your sources before you write things like that. Okay? Or your colleagues do.
I know I'm going over the same ground here, but stay with me here, okay? So you know that Mark Carney has a connection with the Communist Chinese. You know he does through his business workings with Brookfield. It's inappropriate. We don't know what his business dealings are because he hasn't released that information. We won't know that until months after he's elected, if he's elected on April the 28th. You know that. I know that. Pierre Poilievre knows that. And he's mentioned this on a number of occasions. Here he is going off a little bit when he's asked about the Paul Chang incident. Now, that was the incident where, the abduction of the conservative sent off to the Communist Chinese. This is what he had to say about Mark Carney and his dealings with the Communist Chinese.
Mark Carney is deeply conflicted. Just in November, he went to Beijing and secured a $250 million loan for his company from a state-owned Chinese bank. He's deeply compromised.
So Poilievre says that Mark Carney is compromised, and I believe he's compromised. You may believe it as well. I don't think a man like that should be the prime minister of a country. Now, here's the thing. I went looking on the Globe and Mail website this morning for the original story regarding this that led to that question, that led to that answer where he criticizes the Globe and Mail. I can't find it this morning. Now, I may be missing something. I don't know whether Carney, his campaign, got in touch with the Globe and Mail. They may have scrubbed it from their website, but they have done a follow-up story on it, and here it is right here. This is just from yesterday. Carney says he never heard of pro-Beijing group despite photos with its leaders. And then here is their statement regarding this. From the story, I got through the paywall for a short time this morning. Liberal Party spokesperson Isabella Orozco-Madison said the JCC inaccurately portrayed their executive members' discussions with Mr. Carney as in-depth. Quote, "We have reached out to the organization correcting the record and asked that they remove such claims immediately," unquote, she said in a statement. And again, I think maybe the Carney campaign got to the Globe and Mail, this story, the follow-up, tries to soften the blow for the Carney campaign a little bit, because I read the whole thing all the way through. Now, they've been talking, the mainstream media, have been talking about Carney and his connections with the Communist Chinese. And I'm getting to the final point here in just a moment. It won't be very long. But they've been framing it differently than you know about. In this story itself, it's from CBC. Ian Hannah-Mansing uses the word false about Mr. Carney, and the word targeting Mr. Carney come up in this quick story.
You've likely heard concerns about disinformation potentially having an impact on the election. And now federal officials are warning of a campaign on the Chinese social media platform WeChat. They say the content contains false stories about Liberal leader Mark Carney. It was uncovered by a special election task force set up to look into security and intelligence threats.
This content has been amplified in a coordinated and inauthentic way. This information operation had contrasting positive and negative narratives, first amplifying Mr. Carney's stance with the United States, and then targeting his experience and credentials.
Is this WeChat using false claims about Mr. Carney? Does this WeChat target Mr. Carney? Well, apparently, this WeChat is actually promoting Mr. Carney. This is election interference from inside Communist China. And that's the way it's being framed right now. In the mainstream media, you and I know differently. So the question to you is this: will the message that you and I know about get to the right people? And that would be Carney voters. You and I are seeing both sides of the story here and seeing how the mainstream media is on the side of Mr. Carney and calling it false claims and targeting, when we're seeing him as compromised with the Communist Chinese. Now, here's the big question. Right now in Canada, to the boomers and the people who are voting for Mark Carney, who is more of a threat to humanity, Canada, and the world? Now, think about it for a second. Do you know where I'm going here? Who is more of a threat to humanity, Canada, and the world? The Communist Chinese or Donald Trump? That's what everybody else is missing. You and I know the correct answer. But the boomers and the people who are voting for Mr. Carney don't. So, elbows up, young millennials. Put it right in the jaw of your grandparents who are selling your future right down the river. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Feeling better? I think I'll be back again tomorrow. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. I'm kind of stalled in my subscriptions. I haven't been here for four days or so. So if you could subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.